What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Tripp. I am here in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to another episode of the REI Live podcast. We are real estate investing live. We interview the very best real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders all throughout this great country. Today is no different. We've got my new pal, Mr. Nathan Brooks, on the show. How's it going today, Nathan?
I am well, Brian. How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. Nathan is with Bridge Turnkey Investments. He is in Kansas City, Missouri. We are going to talk a little turnkey. I'm excited about this. This is a topic. This is my wheelhouse right now. So we're going to talk. We're going to talk some turnkey investments. I know a lot of you guys who've been listening to us for a while. If you've been with us from the very beginning, we talk about turnkey properties a lot. Birmingham is one of the top cash flowing markets in the entire country, and so is Kansas City. And we've been talking, we had Jason Lucchese on recently, who is in Indianapolis, a big time cash flowing market. We've had some people on in Columbia, South Carolina, some places in Georgia. We've had some great places that are cash flowing markets. So if you are a cash buyer, you're someone who's interested in buying turnkey, this is going to be the episode for you. So let's just dig into it. There's some other stuff I want to talk about with Nathan too, because he's running a very large and successful meetup group right now in Kansas City. And that's what we do. That's our bread and butter. So I definitely want to talk to him about that. And then I just want to kind of get to know you as a person, Nathan. Why don't we just start there? Who are you? For those that don't know who you are, who are you? What do you do in real estate specifically?
Sure. And thank you again for having me on here, by the way. So I'm Nathan Brooks. I am an investor out of Kansas City. I am the co-owner and CEO of Bridge Turnkey Investments. We have three kind of stools, or three legs on our stool, if you will. We have our turnkey company, so we'll do about 150 houses out of Kansas City this year. We own a Keller Williams team, so we're on pace. This is just our second year in business. We're on pace, targets to do about $30 million in retail sales. And then our meetup, Bridge Real Estate Investing Meetup, we just started a few months ago and already really seeing some tremendous success in that. And then I'm a husband. I have a couple of beautiful kids, and recently, a year from December, bought my dream spot on 11.5 acres. So get to do the fun stuff, cutting down trees, running tractors, playing on the side-by-side, all the fun stuff. So that's me.
Fun stuff for some. For sure. So let's kind of, I want to get to know you a little bit more, Nathan. Like, how did you even get into real estate? Like, tell us your story. Like, how long have you been doing it? And how did you specifically get into turnkey? That sounds like that's your bread and butter.
Yep. So I've been doing real estate, probably pushing 12 years, something like that. I'm not that great at the age math. It kind of just gets away from me. But, I started early on just wanting to be a buy and hold investor. My dream was to own assets and kind of inspired by, many people, I think, inspired by the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a story, education. And so, really, rode the wave up in the 07, 08 and crashed and burned in 09, as many of us did. And so went through bankruptcy and miscarriage in the same week of December of 09. And lost, $1 million worth of real estate or so. And, so we had a decision to make, and we had to decide, were we going to take the lessons that we learned and are we going to go apply that in our life again? Or are we going to, cower or be afraid and not do it? And so, it took me 18 months, something like that, 2 years. But I bought my first post-bankruptcy home in 2012. I still own that house today. It's on Harmony Street. I was like, I'm never selling this house. And so I own that. And, since then we've literally flipped, I met my business partner in 2015. And that was really when the tide changed, because I started to understand better who I was as an investor and also kind of what seat I sit in. And I'm really, really, really big on leadership. And I spend a lot of time with my team on it. And I'm always reading leadership books. I'm always thinking about the philosophy of what it means to be a leader and worthy of the seat that I sit in. And, I always think about it because, we take care as owners and CEOs, we take care of our staff and our team takes care of our clients and the contractors we work with. And then, all those, like the homes we make we renovate, and we're very careful and thoughtful in the way we do that. And then, that's why those clients keep coming back, and really ultimately it's about the client, right? So if you don't take care of them, then it doesn't matter, how many widgets or how many homes or whatever.
For sure. So I want to talk, there's a couple of things that you said I want to touch on a little bit more in depth, if you don't mind. I ask every single person who has been in real estate pre-08, I ask every single one of them this question, and I'm interested to hear your take. What were you doing before the crash, and why did you fail? Like, what happened and what lessons did you learn?
Well, I was very new, so I didn't know what I didn't know at that time. And I did not have enough reserves to carry through the dark times. I didn't understand some finesse of how to solve problems, like as problems would arise, like how would I go about solving them. I had some bad luck as far as a banker that was in the deal who was crooked. I had gotten in partnership, if you can use the word partnership, with some contractors who really kind of duped me. I didn't really understand what I'd gotten myself into, but bottom line, and there's no excuse, nobody else's fault but my own. And I wasn't prepared in the way that was meaningful to actually know what was coming, what the issues would be. And so by the time I got there, I was surprised. And so, I now I have a much larger, focus and understanding, as well as understanding the empirical data that's down deep inside that business.
What were you doing? Were you primarily rehabbing properties?
Well, yes. So I was mainly trying to, do a few flips here and there, and then own some rentals. And I had been playing music professionally for more than a decade before that. So that's my background. I went to college for music, and so yeah, I spent a lot of time playing and learning, and I liked anything creative. But ever since I was a kid, I loved just building stuff and come up with ideas, and so that's what I was doing beforehand.
So you said that you wanted to try to figure out, do I get back into this? Do I, try to take these lessons that I learned and get back into it? Or do I want to cower? Do I want to go and try to do something else? You obviously got back into it.
Yeah.
What played into that decision specifically, and what did you learn?
Well, what played in the decision was I like to win. I don't like to lose. And I was all the more motivated. If you've been through bankruptcy, if you haven't, God bless you. If you have, you sit at this table and there's a trustee and they're going through and asking all these awful legal questions. And my wife is sitting there, and we're, it's a miserable experience. And so, I to this day can feel what it felt like that day. And I just knew that I never wanted to experience that again. And I also knew that I had the deep desire to do a couple of things. First of all, leave legacy wealth for my family, live a life that I had an incredible lifestyle. And I don't know when this came about, but I have the absolute fire in my belly to be able to give away $1 million a year before I'm dead, and to do it in perpetuity to health, arts, and education. So it's like, you can't do that on the musician salary unless you're, touring the, national stadiums. So, but real estate, you can. And so it gave me an opportunity to really put the focus on that. And then the lessons, it's everything. It's like, what do I buy? How do I buy it? How do I fund it? Who do I work with? Who do I partner with? How do you rehab? We could spend a whole podcast just on the things not to do. And then, by the way, that's just the beginning, right? So that's not even, that doesn't even solve the leadership part of the growth and scaling part, or understanding how to hire somebody, or how to have meaningful discourse with a staff person, or grow people, or hire and fire. There's so many things that we don't really know until we have to deal with them.
Totally.
Right.
No, I totally agree with you. I think one of the bigger mistakes I made when I first got in this business is I brought on a friend to kind of help me get started.
Yeah.
Had them like doing I was giving them like a certain percent. We were wholesaling primarily. I was giving them a certain percentage of closed deals just to be like, kind of like
Come help me.
the gopher person, just like go do this and go do this, go do this. He was hanging bandit signs. He was just doing a bunch of stuff I didn't want to do. And I wasn't really paying him per hour or anything like that. I was just paying him percentage of deals, and we were doing a lot of deals. So it was working pretty well, but I didn't know how to lead and I didn't know how to manage. And I ended up running him off because I didn't know any better. I didn't have those skills.
Man, I tell you what, I'm in my late 30s, and I remember so distinctly that 20-something Nathan, where I would just light people up and I'd be so frustrated with them, and and then when you come to realize that it's 100% your fault.
Yep.
And you didn't take ownership of what actually the problem was, which was you're not being a leader. You didn't tell them what to do. You didn't explain how to do it. You didn't train them on it. You didn't give them the processes of how to run it, and then sit there with them and do it 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 times until the one thing that you just talked about training on, it's. So now I have a totally different appreciation. And although my personality is no different, I know more like the details, but I respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that, we've hired and fired and screwed up enough times in that process too, to know like, okay, well, hey, we haven't even talked about culture, Brian, but the culture in your business too. Like, what is the actual culture? And the more clear on your culture you are, the more clear it repels and attracts people to it. And so the clearer we got within our business too, we could then say, okay, well, this is who we are as Bridge. This is how we approach our clients. This is the type of property we're willing to put out and that we are not willing to put out. And then these are all the steps we're going to go into through the process. And then through that, we're also attracting the people who want to be a part of something like that. And go ahead.
No, I'm in total agreement. And that's like you said, that's a whole entire podcast. And I want to get to other stuff, but you're so right. In the beginning, it sounds like you're just working on really yourself and trying to get just the knowledge of real estate, like learning from 07, 08 to 2012, 13, 14. I'm just trying to learn the knowledge of real estate, much less trying to figure out how to manage people. I just want to make sure I understand what I'm supposed to be doing so I can possibly teach it to other people. You mentioned something else earlier that I think is really interesting. You said you brought on the right partner in, I think you said 2015.
Yeah.
What led you to bring on a partner at all? Why did you do that, and why has it been successful?
Well, I've always liked working with other people. So I never really thought that I would do anything that wasn't with somebody else. So I know some people really do a great job of having that, they're running everything by themselves. But what I started to learn about myself was that there's a lot of things, especially when it gets past the 10,000 foot view, coming up with ideas, building relationships, that I am horrible. Brian, I'm horrible at the follow through and the detail of that. And like, if the project's like 70% and it almost looks like, the whatever widget, I'm like, what's a widget? Which of course, that's not the way, but I just get tired of doing it. But I know that that's of course not the outcome I want, because I'm a perfectionist too. I want it right. But I, over and over, realizing that I'd get stuck in this spot or this seat that I'm not good at. And so to have a partner, and we just got lucky, by the way, we got lucky. And I don't know if you're a big fan of just sitting on my desk, so I'll give Gino Wickman a little love. But, this book is, I talk about it all the time, understanding that visionary and integrator personality, and being able to say, okay, well, I sit in the visionary seat and I'm responsible for these things. I'm
literally sitting right here.
I love it. Yep. So that it's a game changer, right? And so when I started to understand what seat I sat in, and then what were my skills, and then how do I use them, and then I start leveraging, and I talk with my team all the time on this, is that leverage is a beautiful thing, but we leverage the wrong thing and the rock goes over the cliff. We leverage the right things and we build something, right? And so it's like, even if you're in leadership, was one of our core values, and core values are inwardly focused core values. They're not for what's the word I'm trying to say? They're not outward focused. They're inwardly focused. And so, when it's leadership, generosity, integrity, and drive, those are the 4 core values. And so by focusing on that leadership and saying, hey, listen, even if you are the bottom person on the bottom rung of this org chart, you are still a leader of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so by us saying, hey, I'm empowering you to actually be able to make decisions. I want you to have the autonomy within our organization, and we could come about it in that way. And so it's not just about houses. It's like, how do we approach the business and how do we actually tell the story as a business? And so, by having my partner who is able to really understand the details, and now we have like to the day and the dollar cost accounting of every project. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars worth of money in and out. And so he's really able to put the bow on that stuff and get down to every single one, like, balancing the checkbook on this giant thing that we have. And I'm able to go out and build businesses, make relationships with people like you, talk about it, bring in opportunities. And then I'm out there and I can thrive and I can throw stuff against the wall. And then he can be like, that's a really dumb idea, Nathan. Or that's a really great idea. Let's talk more on that.
It's awesome.
So it's been a blessing.
That's awesome. So I want to transition now. And Nathan told me before we went on the air to not be an asshole. So excuse my language, but here we go. I'm going to do my best to not be an asshole, because I told Nathan before we went on the air that he does not have a true turnkey company. He is a turnkey flipper. He's a turnkey rehabber because he does not manage the property. He outsources the management. What say you? Prove me wrong.
What is it about flipping the houses that makes it most important to you, Brian, that would be a true turnkey company?
I want you to, if I'm buying a property from you, I'm an out-of-state investor and I'm coming to you and I think you've got a great product, okay? You do a really good job. You got a great product. But you personally, your company has nothing to do with placing a tenant, hold it. You have no accountability in my eyes. And you have no accountability in the eyes of a lot of people that do that. So again, I want you to give me your rebuttal. Like, what say you?
So what is the separation of accountability between being a turnkey company that produces the home and connects that with a partner and then has the relationship with the property management? So that's where I'm unclear.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Let me give you a little bit more clarity. I apologize. Right. So where I may, me, the buyer, where I might feel some anxiety, I'm making a major purchase. It's supposed to be a cash flowing property. I'm buying a cash flowing property, presumably in a cash flowing area, in a probably a B or a C class type of area, hopefully a B class. It's my personal preference. Yeah. And I'm going to put up a lot of money, maybe even get a mortgage on it. And you, the seller of the property, you're selling me a property and a property only. What I don't have is any kind of assurance from you personally, the person who sold this to me. I have no assurance from you that this property is going to perform. I asked you off air if you knew eviction numbers, if you knew kind of specific numbers of this property management company, and I don't expect you to because it's not your company. But the fact that you don't know that stuff concerns me as a potential buyer. And again, I want to give you the opportunity to, I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. I want to give you an opportunity to, what do you have to say about that? Is that true? Is there some?
So if you go ahead, the word you used was anxiety. And so what would be things for you as a buyer that would decrease anxiety if that was something that was a concern to you?
I would want to know that the person who I'm buying the property from has all those systems and processes all buttoned up, and you know exactly what you're doing. You can show me a report of here is our vacancy rate today of all of our properties. Here are all the percentage of properties that are going to go to eviction. Here is our average average turnaround costs. like things like that. Like what are you doing to the property specifically? Are you putting new roofs on everything? This is going to be more of you. But these are all the things that I want to know. What kind of capital expenditures am I going to see as the investor in the first 5 to 10 years? Hopefully none, but
Sure.
These are all the questions that I have. And the fact that, again, it's my opinion, I feel like you can only answer half of those, the ones that concerning the property. You can't really answer the questions concerning with the tenant.
So let me ask you one more clarifying question. So if in our process we have solved that concern or anxiety, then what is the concern knowing that you have the correct partners in the deal?
How have you solved it?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So what's wonderful is we start with the right property.
Okay.
And so we have a very clear buy box of this is how we buy a house. This is how we renovate a house. We take that kind of high level view, which is if it doesn't have a 10-year useful life or more, then we fix or replace it. So that's roof, windows, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, whatever. So we go through and we identify that scope. And so we have a scope of work. We have a design, selection sheet, and we have that project summary of the job. So that runs, that's kind of the synopsis, if you will, of that project. So we don't launch a project without those things in the signed contract, of course, with the contractor. So from there, we always look at it as two sets of eyes. So when we're buying the house, we have our acquisition guy and we have our estimator. So we have two sets of eyes. And then when we start that project, we have really three sets of eyes. So we have the general contractor, we have our project manager, and our estimator. So we walk it and we say, hey, this is the project. This is what it looks like. This is what we're doing, whatever. So, and then that project runs. We have a very clear, set of processes each week, how we check in on that rehab. And then that goes through to the end where we quality check it. So, and this is the other thing our clients love. So there's actually 3 different checks before it gets to them. So we do our own quality audit, which is our project manager and our quality control person. So then we double check it again. So that's step 1. And then we have a third party inspector, step 2, and then the property management company, which is our partner in that, by the way. And so we bring in that property management partner. They check it, give us any other feedback. And so there's literally 3 checks by the time it gets to the tenant, if you will. It's really about the tenant. It's not about the owner. Of course, buying it's important, but you have to take care of that tenant. So that's the process. And then, I'll be very frank with you. I got into the turnkey business with the very same thought that you couldn't be a turnkey company without being, all of those things. But, when I ask you, Brian, hey, you want to work with the very best, would you agree?
Try to.
Yes. And you want me as your turnkey provider to give you the very best experience, give you the very best service, and do the very best job that we could possibly do.
Of course.
Of course. So we were horrible at property management. And so we went from 0 to 140 doors. We owned our own management and we just didn't do a very good job. And we had every intention of being good. But we didn't, we just did not do that good enough job. And that goes back to that, we want to be the best at what we do. We want to do the best renovations. We want to have the capital expenditures and maintenance and stuff. And by the way, we give every client the scope of work, the, inspection report, every single item that's on inspection report, what we did about it, picture of the item. So we don't nickel and dime people. We literally take, here's this inspection report, every single item. And then they have that partner relationship. And I will actually challenge you that sometimes having that property management so close in house is actually a hindrance, not a help. Because we have a third party who can also say, hey guys, let's price this way. Let's market it this way. Let's make sure that, we're taking care of the client, and there's actually second party involved. So we can literally say, hey, these guys have 1,000 doors under management. We work with them all the time. We actually get you a discount off of what, the market rate is in Kansas City because of the volume of business we do. And then we have all of those answers as far as, maintenance and rental returns and all that kind of stuff. But then we also connect them with that property management partner. So, we've had incredibly great success with it, and the clients love it. And ultimately, I think it's about the trust factor and
Definitely.
the execution of the people who are doing that. And so, we would not have doubled in business every year over the last 4 years if we didn't do that. So I'll just let those numbers speak for themselves.
We have very differing opinions, and that's totally fine. And that's what they are. They're total opinions. And
Agree.
I appreciate your feedback, and hopefully you appreciate mine as well.
I do.
I want to talk about meetup groups. I want to just completely shift focus and make in the show on a light note and on an awesome note.
Let's do it.
You have I think it was really interesting when you said this in the beginning, that you said you had 3 stools to your business, and you actually named your meetup group as one of those stools. Talk about that for a second. What did you mean by that?
Well, we are looking at that as, if we're going to put the time and resources into something, then it needs to be a part of our business in that sense. So, what's cool is that we are seeing that as a place for community. We're seeing it as an opportunity to do business. Obviously, we've already done multiple deals on the retail side, with the realtors on our team. There's going to be opportunities for us to bring bigger deals, syndication deals, to that community. And, ultimately we're putting our time and resources into that and scaling it and growing it. And, ultimately I believe, we can really change not just Kansas City, but a much larger impact on people in their ability to grow and learn in real estate. And so, we just made a decision that we were going to make it a business. And it's obviously not that old, just literally 3 months, but we're putting that time, we're putting that focus.
Yeah.
We have the level 10. If people do, EOS, we have a level 10 around that meetup. And so we've put those time and resources and effort, into building it.
That's awesome. I love it, because I'm doing the same. When we were talking off air before we started, a lot of the things that you have done and you're doing are things that we've done and things that we believe in here in Birmingham and through REI Live. I really want you to talk about specifically, because you gave me some of your numbers. It looks like you got 200 people in the room after just doing a few of these things. What are you doing specifically to get people in the room?
Okay, cool. Good question. And the first one, we had 90 people. So we kind of expected 50. We had 90 show up. So we outgrew the room. Next time we're kind of thinking 100. We had 160 show up or so. And so we've actually changed venues again for the 3rd time. So we had to change it 3 times in a row.
Wow.
So February 19th is the next one. And we have a UFC fighter as the speaker, by the way. So it'll be fun. Talking on the warrior mindset. And so pulling people in, it's been about telling the story. And early on, I think what I did right was I put principles around it. So our 4 principles are connect, learn, help others, and take action. And so when people would be doing something, or we invite somebody, or we show them something, or we talk about it, from the beginning, I was like, listen, one of my biggest complaints about some of the RIA groups is there's this like infighting, and there's this, bickering, and who's got who and doing what. And so I literally started calling all my friends who are the biggest players in Kansas City, and like, okay, hey, we're starting to meet up, come hang out, and let's do stuff together that actually is changing the face of Kansas City. And so so we built it out into two different sections, which were our partners. So we didn't call them sponsors. So those are businesses who are partners in our group. And so they are people we know and trust and have done business with. And then we also brought in mentors too. So we have mentors, and those people are literally, people crushing it who have that heart for helping.
Yeah.
And so, and then we started doing these Facebook Lives, and we're literally getting, 500 and 1,000 views in a week just on these little Facebook Live calls with people. And so, we've been inviting, on Facebook, obviously, but it's literally grown, from December 4th to today. I think we're almost at 2,200 people in that period of time. So
it's awesome.
it's I think I answered the question.
Yeah, that's how you're getting people to show up in the room, is because they get it. You're doing all the. I like that you have core values. You put a whole entire EOS implementation system in place because like you said, it really and truly is a third stool or third leg to your stool of your whole business, overarching business plan, which it is bringing in business. And I totally agree with you. I think I love a lot of the stuff that you're doing. It's literally identical of what I've been doing. I think one of the things that we did from the very beginning that I've never heard anyone do this ever in this space that you just mentioned, is crazy, is we develop strategic relationships with other big, massive players in our town. We want you there. Not only do we want you there, we want you to be involved. We want you to, we call them ambassadors. You call them mentors or something. We call them ambassadors. We want you to be involved. So if someone has a question and I can't answer every question, you can go to our ambassadors and learn more and get involved and learn real estate investing. I love it.
What's so funny is that we actually just had a conversation today about adding a third group, which we were actually, funny enough, looked up in the thesaurus of what any other words were besides ambassador, but we kept coming back to ambassador because we are also looking for those who are like literally volunteers. And so you might not even have to be out there crushing it. So you actually still have a place to come and be a part and help. And so it comes back again to that connects, learn, help others, and take action. And ultimately, now they have a place, right? So even if you don't know that much, but you want to welcome people and say, oh yeah, well, you have a construction problem. Well, we have the group of the contractors over here. You can go talk to it. And, so then people have a place to belong.
I love it. Brother, you are crushing it. I love your passion. I love your energy. I love the interview, even though we got a little heated for a second. I loved everything about it. And I appreciate you. Give everybody listening a chance to connect with you. How can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more about your company, Bridge Turnkey Investments?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook. That's kind of the most social network that I'm on. So Nathan Brooks, I'm on there with a cute picture of myself and my daughter. She's got a little cheesy grin and some pink glasses. You can't miss it. And then our company, Bridge Turnkey. So it's just bridgeturnkey.com. And so we have a killer website. You can actually look at your performance and stuff right on the website. So all the math's kind of built out there for you. And by the way, we didn't even talk about that on the turnkey side, but people, just pricing your stuff right and putting it out there so it actually gives legitimate returns. So we really try to do that and give actual numbers. And then finally, you can check out our meetup. It's just bridgemeetup.com. So we're already on our 1.01 version. And actively building that out as we speak. So any one of those three things, you can connect with me, and love to hear from you.
We will link it all up in the show notes. We did not get a chance to get to some of the numbers on the turnkey side, so definitely go check out the website. Tell me the website again,
bridgeturnkey.com.
bridgeturnkey.com. So like I said, we'll link that all up in the show notes. Guys, we love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Live podcast. Thank you, Nathan, for coming on the show and sharing your expertise on turnkeys and on meetups. We appreciate that. And guys, hit the subscribe button. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.